Dumb regular guys challenging professional fighters. What happens when you take a naive novice, give them the confidence of a trained fighter, and then put them against someone else with the confidence of a trained fighter because they're a trained fighter? Well, you get a one-sided showcasing of why martial arts truly work. Oh, and also a pretty funny clip of some dorks getting put in their place. In this video, we'll be looking at just that. Here are dumb, regular guys challenging professional fighters. So, this one is more like a bit of skill versus a lot more skill. The jacked guy in the red shirt clearly has some skill, but it's not enough to get the better of his much smaller opponent. The smaller guy utilized movement and speed, which meant he was eventually able to chin his bowling ball of an opponent. The hammer became the nail, and the bulked-up fighter took a nap for his efforts. Just so you all know, muscles do not equal fighting savvy. The man in blue gear is obviously not the best at fighting or decision-making. He challenged a professional Muay Thai fighter to spar, and as you can imagine, it didn't end well for the challenger. The guy in blue did an excellent job not keeping his hands up and an even better job blocking the incoming shots with his face. He really tested out that chin durability in this session. Yet another head kick lands, and that's enough to have the man in blue as rattled as can be while still on his feet. Some follow-up shots land, and that's more than likely the end of this challenger's fighting career. The guy in black, we'll call him Wish version of 2014 Dustin Poirier, challenged the man in the red shirt to spar. The man in red is a bit older, but he's still got a youthful competitive spirit, as we can tell. Kroger brand Poirier obviously has some skill of his own, but he was no match for the older pugilist. He was outpaced, out-techniqued, and got swarmed. Unable to get his back off the ropes, we can see that this guy challenged an older boxer and got the big brother treatment for doing so. Seen here is another case of muscles getting trumped by technique, and in an embarrassing way. In yellow shorts and boxing gloves, this toned man really flexed how underwhelming his fighting skills are in the face of someone that knows what they're doing. A body lock trip takes the bigger man down, and then he's on the business end of a pretty gnarly armbar afterward. I'd say the takedown was the beginning of the end, but when watching what was happening on the feet, it's safe to say that things were over the minute yellow shorts stepped into the ring. Green gloves has some experience, and the man in black gloves is the spaz that everyone thinks of fighting when they're playing out winning situations in their head while taking a contemplative shower. In other words, the guy in black gloves obviously sucks. This looks like one of those fighters that are paid to take a dive in order to pad another's record. But this is a sparring session, so I'm assuming he's actually this bad at combat sports. You think you could have taken this challenger? Let us know down below. While you're at it, don't forget to drop a like on the video. Walking into a gym and challenging a trained fighter is nowhere near my bucket list, but I'm pretty glad people do it. It's so stupid, but it's equally as hilarious for us to watch. The man in the white shirt and red gloves walked into this gym and challenged a boxer. Though his jab was actually pretty decent looking for someone that's not good at throwing hands, reality set in and the boxer started boxing. Pretty much landing at will, the challenger was rendered a walking heavy bag for a few minutes. He was knocked down multiple times and even got dropped and fell out of the ring. We're thinking that it was fate dropping a hint on where he belongs. When an ex-cop says he told a gym owner that he was a purple belt, the owner invited him to the gym to be, which was just next door, and they rolled. After getting tapped to a guillotine choke that a white belt could have seen coming, this man revealed that he's not actually a purple belt. Duh. The black belt continued to roll with him and tried to ameliorate the awkwardness of this guy getting caught in a lie. If anyone is accustomed to someone challenging them inside the gym, it's the owner of the elite boxing gym, Dorian Beaupierre. He's dealt with this a few times, and we're looking at one right now. This guy walked into the gym dressed like he finally saw the movie Grease and decided to try out the tough guy attitude that couples well with the leather jacket. Well, turns out, he sucks at fighting. Dorian took it so easy on him, and it was still a wash. A good rule of thumb is to not challenge anyone who's fought professionally, especially not in the UFC, and has the names like Nick and Nate Diaz on their resume. Not everyone knows just how good professional fighters are, though. This guy slid into Nir's DMs, talked some trash, and went to the gym to scrap it out with the former UFC fighter. After landing about 6 elbows too many, it's safe to say that Josh nearly killed this guy. Get it? Josh nearly? You get it? We can't forget the soccer kick. That was brutal. It's hard to call this guy a dumb regular person due to him kicking Uriah Hall in the face. However, if it were me, a man with common sense, I don't think I would capitalize on a head kick opportunity if I sparred Hall. Due to the fact that he could give it back tenfold. Hall decided to turn it up a gear, and he landed a beautiful jump spinning back kick right to the liver with surgeon-like precision. To text a gym coach saying that you're an MMA fighter and a great boxer, and that you could beat up any boxer all without having the skill to back it up, that's one thing. But it gets a whole lot more stupid when you actually show up to try it out. Thankfully, Coach Mercedes, seen here in the white gear, put on some heavier gloves and went pretty light on the challenger because, he's a good guy. Still, despite going about 4%, he was able to humble the cocky challenger. Respectful and dumb are not mutually exclusive. When these YouTubers, known as the Janoskians, challenged former UFC champ and longtime rival of Ronda Rousey, aka Miesha Tate, they got put in their place with the utmost speed. Tate big-sistered these relatively in-shape men and did so without even batting an eye. The ease in which she got mount, took backs, and constricted airways is admirable to us watching from the luxury of being anywhere that isn't in the cage with her. Don't get it twisted, though. These guys don't know how to fight. Tate will do this to probably any man you know. Now, we're not entirely sure what the lore is behind this spar, but rumor has it that the larger man wanted to try someone with skill, and the smaller fighter is a kickboxing coach. While it's easy to believe that the larger man has zero idea of how to fight, I can't quite picture the smaller fighter being a coach. He's got some skill, but he's really sloppy. Regardless, this shows that some skill can bridge the gap that's about a 30-inch reach advantage and a 100-pound deficit. The kickboxer weathered the storm and began teeing off on the sloppy, larger man. The challenger's punch technique looks like me when I accidentally walk into a spiderweb. We've seen a good amount of internet trolls challenging coaches, and the coach is taking it easy. Well, that's not the case here. The coach is dressed like he's ready for a Christmas party, but the only giving he was feeling was a few right hands in succession to sleep the challenger. This guy walked into a gym built like a bunion and had the combat sports savvy of one of those arcade punching bag machines. Not always on camera, but I can tell you that 9 times out of 10, these situations end just like this one did. This is news to me, but Thailand actually has pubs where you can get drunk and then challenge a Thai fighter to spar. So this wasn't exactly a challenger going out of their way to get smacked up, but it was stupid nonetheless. The Thai fighter seen here in the blue gear is giving this guy a seminar for free. Well, I guess he's paying for it with his mobility. The leg kicks start and they don't stop. The challenger decided that being on the other side of the ropes is a lot more fun. So he tucks his tail between his legs and returns to the bar before the round is over. Similar to the last entry, we've got another drunk dude trying his hand at Muay Thai against a trained fighter. The Thai fighter is taking it easy on the drunk, but in doing so, he's absolutely clowning him. A few kicks put the challenger down faster than one more Jaeger bomb would have, but a right hand actually seems to rock the drunk. Nothing quite like waking up after a night of drinking and wondering why there are toe prints melted into your body. Hey, we've all been there. If you've not been down the Charlie Zelenoff rabbit hole, we implore you to do so. It's funny, it's kinda sad, but it gets funny again. As seen here, Zelenoff is going toe-to-toe with Deontay Wilder, one of the hardest-hitting boxers of all time. Charlie called his phone and challenged the pro heavyweight. Wilder obliged and lightly put some work on the challenger. Now, Zelenoff has a past of going really hard on unsuspecting victims, So this is a bit cathartic to watch. However, it's hard not to question if Charlie is 100% upstairs, you know? Challenging Deontay Wilder to fight seems like good grounds to question someone's mental stability. Note to self: don't challenge King Webb to a fight and say that my Aikido and boxing. Webb slipped up while throwing a leg kick, and you can see that challenger's ego inflate. That slip was his only success. Webb scores a takedown, locks in a triangle choke, and the challenger has to tap out, so he doesn't take a nap in front of all his new fans. Well, they went at it some more, and the nap was just an eventuality. Webb lands a jumping roundhouse right on the challenger's chin, and it was lights out. Okay, so this one is a bit more tame in terms of physical excitement. Seeing Joe Rogan nearly throw down with some dork from Fear Factor gets me hyped up. Rogan called out this guy's wife for pushing another contestant. This guy, stupidly enough, decided to bark back at Rogan and get in his face. Well, chaos ensues, and Rogan puts the Fear Factor weirdo in a tie plum clinch. He could have dealt out knees and elbows, but he decided to just control this man and humiliate him in front of his wife without dishing out any physical punishment. And we're back to more Charlie Zelenoff content. Floyd Mayweather Sr. boxed this kid and was putting on a master class. With that signature Philly shell defense, Zelenoff had nothing to offer in terms of offense, so he had to wait for that guard to go away. That resulted in sucker punching Floyd when he was turned around. We knew there was something wrong with Charlie already, but to do this in a room full of people who really respect Mayweather, well, that's just one of the dumbest things done in the history of stupidity. Zelenoff was then dealt with accordingly, and once again, it's fun to see him get hit. Jason Ellis is quite an entertaining and prolific man. He's nowhere near a great fighter, but he's got some boxing and grappling skills and has competed professionally. So when you put him against a reporter, it seems pretty obvious what's going to happen. But we're still going to watch. Ellis, seen here in red, is just laughing at the attempted strikes of James, the reporter. Ellis let the reporter work, and James actually grazed the pro with a few shots. So Jason turned it up and started attacking. He only went for the body, which is nice, but also, wow, does it hurt like hell. James eventually feels all these shots and taps out from this challenge. You know that one uncle or grandpa you have that you always argue with at holiday parties when things start to turn political? Well, no matter which one you lean towards, it's important to stop the conversation before things turn physical and Grandpa takes his dentures out. Well, that's not the case here. Unrelated and talking about borders, this man with a maniacal laugh and Joe Rogan get a bit heated after the man touches Rogan. Joe challenged him to do it again. The man complies and is put in a guillotine choke for his troubles. When the Nelk boys wanted to put on a great bachelor party for a fan, I don't think anyone said, "Hey, it'd be really fun for him to spar with the two-time UFC lightweight title challenger Justin Gaethje." But something happened, and here we are. The Nelk boys said that if the man could last a 30-second round, they'd pay for the wedding. Gaethje put his competitor's spirit aside and let the man work for 30 seconds. The husband-to-be was throwing heavy shots, and Gaethje just rolled with them. It was very obvious that Justin could have rearranged this guy's face inside of 10 seconds, but he didn't want to crash a wedding. Lorenzo Trevino is very adept in the thrown hands department, so maybe don't challenge him if you don't have any credentials there. But there are dumb people out there, and they need to learn the hard way. This self-proclaimed great street fighter challenged Trevino and realized this isn't the streets, and he's really not that great. Trevino brought the hands and the swagger. He defended beautifully, used footwork to confuse his opponent, and the accuracy with which he landed was fierce. Trevino starts ripping body shots with some ill intent and burying some leather into the guard and face of his opponent. While this beating seems savage, the story says that this man had been challenging Trevino for some time. So, challenge accepted, and hopefully lesson learned. The recently retired Alistair Overeem has been a big name in MMA for about as long as MMA has been a thing. His career spanned a lot longer than most, and he's been a talking point for a while. So, with the big clout comes the media. This member of the media, hoping to stand out, challenged Overeem to a grappling match. Alistair obliged. The reporter bull rushes ahead, and Alistair sprawls out. The fighter is sprinkling on some strikes because it's Alistair Overeem. He makes the rules. We could have made this video strictly off Strickland clips. He's the most brash in the UFC, but maybe the most real too. He says he'll fight anyone and he means it. So when challengers show up to the gym, he's down for it. This challenger sauntered on in and called out Sean for maybe a playful spar. But that's not how it works. If you want to work, Sean will give you some work. The UFC fighter mauls the challenger in less than 10 seconds, and that was that. A rule of thumb when sparring, and this is usually set by the lesser fighter, is to only hit as hard as you'd like to get hit. So you don't want your nose broken. Don't come at the professional fighter like they stole your girl. Carlos Condit and a few others went to a military base to show some love. Condit decided to spar with one of the soldiers, and he let him know, "Hit me as hard as you want to be hit." That's not a challenge to go hard, it's a warning. At least, you'd think that. The soldier throws as hard as he can right off the bat, and Carlos, the guy that does this for a living, was down for it. He lands some beautiful shots with his hands and even a head kick. A right hand lands, and down the troop goes. That does it for this video. Which was your favorite clip? Let us know down below. Don't forget to help us bring more content by hitting that like and subscribe button. What would you like to see next? Let us know down below.